I just couldn't live with myself, looking at myself in a mirror and seeing a man. I either have to go buy a gun and kill myself, or I have to do something about this. And so I decided I was going to give it a try.
That try meant switching genders. Rebecca Juro became a woman in 1997.
I was working as a man. I went to my boss after a period where I said, this is what I'm going to do. Very quickly, I was out of a job. Basically, I was just dismissed. And I said, this has to be illegal, right? Well, surprise, it wasn't illegal.
Now it is. At least in Rebecca's home state of New Jersey, it is now illegal to fire a person because he or she is transgender. But for 55% of Americans, and in most states, discrimination against workers because of their gender identity is still not outlawed. Even with the law and years of experience in retail, Rebecca has found it hard to keep a job.
They would find fault or issuing disciplinary notices for silly things that nobody else would ever get in trouble for. I never had these problems when I was working as a man, but all of a sudden while working as a woman, they were constant.
90% of the transgender people surveyed have experienced harassment on the job.
That number comes from a 2011 survey of over 6,000 transgender people by the National Center for Transgender Equality. It also said that the unemployment rate in this community of around 700,000 people is twice as high as in the general population. How long have you been unemployed at this point?
At this point, I've been unemployed about 4 years. Before the economy was really declining, I could get jobs periodically. Once the economy started declining, I don't care what your resume says, they're not going to be hiring the transsexual. That's one of the most common things, where they love my resume, but when I show up at their door and say, okay, here I am, then all of a sudden I'm no good. Every time someone hears this voice coming out of this face, you're going to know. I love this card. My brother found this, actually.
What's your financial situation?
The truth is, I don't have one. I have no money, My mother pretty much covers me. I mean, I'm 50 years old. Living with my mother is not something that I'm exactly proud of. But I do it because it's what other choice do I have?
Some people find it easier to be their own boss. Babs Sipperstein runs a small business. She started it before she made her personal transition. Is starting a business something you would recommend?
I would say anyone. If they've got a good idea, why not? But the bar is higher.
I have a client that waited until she retired to transition, purposely, because she didn't want to experience discrimination in the workplace.
All right, we're back, and it is the Rebecca Juro Show. Thanks for sticking around. And we were talking about the Employment Non-Discrimination Act.
Rebecca runs an online radio show out of her study. She thinks the issue of employment discrimination is even more important than same-sex marriage, which dominates the media today.
Jobs are the engine that make marriage possible.
Blake Ellis,
and
CNN
if you
Money,
don't have
New
a job,
Jersey.
And you don't have a safe and comfortable place to live, well, the right to marry isn't going to do you much good.